Hello, and welcome to Lopes On Movies. My name is Joey Lopes, and today I am joined by Connor
Hello.
and Kyle.
So now you bring out the happy voice? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I wanted to change it up from last week because you got mad at me for doing like an angry voice hello all the time. So now we're doing a happy
mad.
voice
I
hello.
was giving you criticism.
Yeah, and I accepted the criticism. I don't know what you want from me.
Let's do a recut of this intro.
Look, I'm happy because we're here to talk about the thing that we've been wanting to talk about for months. We've been hyping this up. We've been so excited. The Snyder Cut is here, everybody. Oh man, it really does feel like the past year of our lives on this show has just been like Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut, because whenever we had nothing to talk about, we would just talk about the Snyder Cut.
I mean, it has been a year, hasn't it? Like, isn't that when everything started?
Just about, yeah. So,
Kinda.
I think the Snyder Cut was first announced as happening in May of last year.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty close to a year. We're getting up there. So yeah, it definitely feels like everything has been building to this, even though I don't think any of us normally would be the audience for this sort of thing.
No, not at all.
I 100% would not have watched this if not for the fact that it's become a running gag in this show to just talk about the Snyder Cut all the time.
It has, but you know what? I bet you after seeing all the discourse and everything around it, we probably would have been intrigued. Maybe not to watch it, but to at least see what's going on.
Sure.
I think it's extremely interesting what's been happening.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. The discourse has melted my brain a little bit, and we'll talk about that, I guess. But you know what? We got a lot to talk about here. This is the Snyder Cut. It's a 4-hour-long movie. It's going to be a 4-hour-long episode of this show. That's a joke.
Woo.
And we gotta dive right in. So because I want this episode to be our definitive Snyder Cut episode, so we never have to talk about this again, even though I'm sure we will. I want to do just a very quick, brief history of this whole Snyder Cut thing, just to get everybody up to speed, so you know what we're talking about. So, of course, the Snyder Cut is the mythical, fabled cut of Justice League, the DC Comics Justice League film, which it's infamously at this point, due to the Warner Brothers panicking over the kind of dark tone of Zack Snyder's previous DC movies, which were like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And then Zack Snyder had a very serious personal family tragedy. He left the project in post-production, and he had nothing to do with the movie that was released after they had already filmed everything. But the studio then took that opportunity to hire Joss Whedon to finish the movie and basically make it more jokey and more like a lighter Marvel movie. So that movie comes out, everybody hates it, we move on with our lives. Except for a very vocal minority of big-time Snyder DC Universe fanboys who started clamoring on the internet for Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut, which is, the theoretical version of the movie that Zack Snyder intended to release. His original vision, unaltered by, the changes, the Joss Whedon changes or whatever. And for however many, years or however long it was when these people first started cropping up, we kind of just treated these people as, kind of an amusing, weird internet niche curiosity. It's wow, I can't believe there are people that are this passionate about these stupid DC movies. So it was kind of just an interesting, funny internet meme, basically, at some point. But then, fast forward, however many years, months, Zack Snyder and some of the crew and cast of Justice League start making kind of cryptic tweets in favor of the Release the Snyder Cut movement, and speculation starts to begin that the cut might actually be real. Now, this is all building, right? It's all building and building and building until finally, summer 2020, Zack Snyder announces that the Snyder Cut is real. It's being released on HBO Max in 2021. It's going to cost $70 million to finish the cut for visual effects and to film about maybe 15 minutes of new material. It is originally announced as a 6-part miniseries. This then changes to a 4-hour-long feature film in 6 parts at some point. It's unclear when. Now, so this is announced. The internet, and ourselves included, if you've been following the show, we were laughing about this for forever because we can't believe that this ridiculous release the Snyder Cut meme actually resulted in in a movie getting made. Um,
Hmm.
and it really, like, nobody but the hardcore fanboys expects it to be any good at all, right? Like, I mean, remember Man of Steel, remember Batman v Superman? Like, these are not well liked movies except
Yeah.
by this kind of niche, the intense audience, right?
Right.
So
The thing that I think is interesting too is that we were going off because they announced that it was going to cost $70 million to finish the visual effects, and they're filming more scenes. Like, I thought that meant there was no there was no Snyder cut at all, but
right.
in reality, there really kind of was. Like,
Yeah,
there
the
were
vast
a
majority
lot.
of it was finished. Like
Yeah.
most of the stuff in the Snyder Cut as it is released is footage that was shot back then, like prior to the release of the Whedon thing. Like, it's all original footage, except for like at the very end of the movie, really.
Yeah, because what happened was Josh, after DC kind of got rid of Zack Snyder, or he stepped down, and then they took the chance to getting Joss Whedon to remake it.
Marvel
He
it up.
they reshot like a lot of scenes,
A ton of scenes.
which is it's like kind of fascinating. Like, the changes that they made too were just
It's pretty interesting. And especially like, and I've never seen the original Whedon cut, but I know enough about it now, and I think Kyle, you saw it.
Yeah,
It's
a while
interesting,
ago.
like comparing and contrasting some of the stuff because we'll get to it. The point is, the main thing I want to highlight here is that when all of this was at first announced, and basically for like everything leading up to it was people just kind of like thinking this whole Snyder Cut thing is hilarious that it's happening, but like, it's the fans will be happy and everybody else will just be like, okay, whatever, dude. But then just a few weeks before this thing releases, the narrative kind of changes about the Snyder Cut. And this is the thing that I find the most fascinating about the discourse. So, the first thing that happens early in this year, we talked about this, Martin Scorsese releases another op ed where he kind of laments the state of film distribution. This makes everybody on the internet light up and start relitigating his comments about Marvel movies and superhero films, how they aren't cinema, they're not the work of true artists, whatever. Second thing that happens, Joss Whedon gets what I'm gonna. At this point, I think we've all agreed that he's pretty much permanently canceled
Yeah.
at this
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
This is for a variety of reasons, and one of them is related to Justice League. Ray Fisher, the actor who plays Cyborg in Justice League, alleged that Whedon was like abusive on the set of the reshoots and just very, very unprofessional. And then after that, like, many women came forward with allegations of improper behavior on various projects that Whedon was on, ranging back from like as early as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, so needless to say, hating Whedon in full force, full steam ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Whedon is the worst guy who's ever existed, right? And then the last thing that happens is really like 2 weeks before the Snyder Cut gets released. Zack Snyder starts doing the press rounds and doing interviews, right? And his answers to questions are all kind of jovial and fun. He comes off as a super passionate guy. He's like really excited to finish his creative vision. He says he wasn't paid a dime to finish this cut. He just wanted to have creative control. He just wanted to do it for the passion. He starts making these kind of like goofy statements, like, the reason the movie's 4 hours long is that he felt like each of his DC movies should be 20 minutes longer than the last one. He like specifically specified 20 minutes. It's like, okay, dude, cool. He compared the Snyder Cut, which for artistic reasons is in a 4:3 aspect ratio, to the recent Kelly Reichardt film First Cow, which is an indie film that a lot of film Twitter people really liked and was also in 4:3. So like him saying that made everybody go like, Zack Snyder, what a great guy. Oh, I love this guy. So we have this trio of things, right? Where now we have Snyder revisionism up in full force. The narrative of this whole Snyder Cut thing becomes that this heroic, great, nice person, sympathetic, lovable Zack Snyder, he gets his creative vision ruined by a serial hack and abuser, Joss Whedon, and now he's finally getting a chance to realize his creative vision. And you know what? He's even proving Scorsese wrong, he's demonstrating that superhero films can be art because he is an artist, right? And he's finally getting to be the artist that he's always wanted to be and be able to make Justice League. You know, people start rewatching Zack Snyder films. They're changing their letterboxd ratings from 1 or 2 stars on Batman v Superman to 4 or 5. You know what, guys? It's actually pretty good. This movie's actually a lot better than I remember. Wow, Zack Snyder's amazing. And now everybody's primed to watch Justice League. Reviews come in. They're saying it's pretty good. Some people are saying it's a masterpiece. The fans are ecstatic. Guys, happy ending. You know, everything is great. Zack Snyder is my hero. I love him. He's the greatest filmmaker that we have right now. He's a true artist. All right. So how much is this real or is this just nonsense? I think this is all nonsense. This whole Snyder revisionism thing, right? you guys agree that people are losing their minds here?
I mean, I just got finished watching the Snyder Cut for the 5th time, and I think it's all legit, guys.
Kyle, the man who would never watch The Irishman, which is 4 hours long, he says, "Give me that give me that 4 hours of the Snyder Cut."
You know, it's really funny. On Friday, before we watched Justice League, I was like, you know, I should probably watch The Irishman just to so I do that before Justice League. I just didn't. I was like, it's too long. I'm not going to do that.
But then me and Kyle sit down there and watch all 4 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's something I was going to ask you guys. Did you watch all of it in a row?
Yeah, it was
Pretty
in one
much.
sitting. We took like 2-minute breaks in between some sections, but no, we watched the whole thing
Okay.
all the way through. All right, so I think everybody wants to change the narrative because Zack Snyder seems like a nice guy. He seems really passionate about what he's doing. I don't know what to tell you guys. This is still a Justice League movie.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. I guess we can get into. Let's get into the movie now. We all watched it. We all actually spent the 4 hours to sit through this whole thing. I have my own thoughts on it. I want to hear your guys' first. Let's start with Kyle. Kyle, we watched this together. What can you tell us about Zack Snyder's Justice League?
So, I will say this, as I think the only person here that has seen both versions.
Mm-hmm.
It is the best version of Justice League, but that is saying nothing. I don't think the movie's awful. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst superhero movie I've ever seen, but it's just, it was not worth the wait. I'll put it that way.
Sure.
Nothing about this was okay, he fixed everything that's wrong. It's still a lot of bad dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of cheesy, stupid superhero scenes, and it's and it seems like everything new that he added was not. I mean, to be fair, I don't remember everything, but nothing about was oh, I'm so glad he put that scene in.
Sure.
It was I was like, okay, here's an extra scene with the Flash. Yeah, I guess it's kind of cool. Oh, the Martian Manhunter, nice. I don't know why he's here, but that's something.
That's definitely something I want to talk about.
It's the first thing that popped into my head. Here's a book reference for you guys. Was do you guys ever hear of The Cuckoo's Calling?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
So this was a book that was written by J.K. Rowling,
okay.
but it was not under the name J.K. Rowling. It was she was doing some crap.
Right.
It sold crap. It did nothing. No one cared about it. Then she put her name on it, and it was the best thing in the world. That's what Justice League is.
So it's because it has Zack Snyder's name on it now.
Exactly. That's the only thing people care about.
There might be some truth to that because, again, we're in the throngs of Snyder revisionism, where everybody loves Snyder now because he seems like such a nice guy, and he does.
He seems like a great guy.
You read those interviews, honestly, I got nothing but respect for the man as a person. He seems like a perfectly nice guy. Love to hang out with him sometime. But I mean, I want nothing to do with his movies, man.
It might have something cool about Snyder. Did you see on HBO Max he has a collection of movies that he recommends?
Oh yeah, it's a pretty good list.
The whole thing is great.
Yeah, it's a pretty good list. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's these are the inspirations for this, huh? Wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, you can't. Zack Snyder is definitely an artist. Like
Mhm.
you can't argue against that, I think.
Mhm.
But he just happens to be an artist that I want nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Like
not
I would go hang out with Snyder, but then when he says, "Hey, you want to go back to my place and watch Justice League?" I'll be like, "No,
sorry, I'm busy.
yeah, I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
But if he said you want to come back to my place and watch, well, I don't know if we should be going to anyone's places right now, especially ones that we don't really know that well.
that's
You know,
true.
just
Yeah.
but if they wanted to watch Seven Samurai or like any of the other movies that are on his his list of
Yeah,
movies,
I'll do
I'm
that.
down.
yeah,
I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would watch Seven Samurai with Zack Snyder. I'd do that.
yeah, yeah. Why not?
Connor, what about you? I know you watched this whole thing in shifts, if I remember correctly.
I did. I couldn't do it in one go, and the movie kind of like sets you up for that. Like it's done in parts.
Yeah.
It's done in sections.
Yeah.
So it's like a part one, and then has a goofy line about what's about to happen in the scene, and some of them are. There's a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of cringe stuff sometimes. It was really tough for me to get through the beginning of it, but then once something like clicked off in my head, and then it changed a little bit for me, and I'm going to explain what I mean.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay, let's hear it.
But first, what I want, like, the movie reminded me very much of Watchmen, or the Watchmen movie that he did.
Okay.
Right? It said, but like Watchmen, I didn't really like either as much. It was like baseline competent, and I think
Mhm.
it's a better film than this one, primarily because it's one story,
Mhm.
like all the way through. But it still has that same kind of like dark look and like the gritty superhero thing, and that's
Mhm.
kind of like a similar thing with
Sure.
what this is. But more than anything, this brought me back to watching cartoons on Saturday morning or like at night. And this is, I don't know if anybody thought this about the original Justice League or not, but do you guys remember the Justice League animated series
Of course.
Of
when we
course,
were
yeah.
kids? This felt very much like that, with just more gore and language. Like,
Yeah.
it brought me back to that time. And there were like two versions of that show. There was like the Justice League version, the early version, which is 2001 to 2004. I looked that up.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was pretty much the main cast, like all the ones in this, plus a few more. And it was like the very similar, like, alien invasion plot, the first few episodes. And like I think the first few played as like a movie. And then the rest of the season was just the main cast doing like various things.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was exactly what this was to me.
Mhm.
Almost exactly. And then they came out with the Justice League Unlimited, it was called, where they brought a
Yeah.
bunch of like
Yeah,
reject,
that wasn't great.
That was a rough time. Yeah.
But like that one I still like remember hating. But in retrospect, I have this thing drilled into my mind of Batman singing in
Oh yeah,
that,
of course.
which
Am
is like
I blue?
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember the song. Yeah.
he's singing "Am I Blue?" And nowadays, I think I actually would have liked that version, like, of the show compared to like, but like, so I'm thinking back, and I'm like, who would this appeal to? And I'm like, I think kids aged like 10 to 15 would like the Snyder Cut a
Mhm.
lot. Like, I think this would play very well to them. And then it goes, I guess, hardcore adult fans would like it too. But as far as everything else, like, no. Like it's just not good anymore.
Well,
Like,
like, and I sympathize with what you're saying here, Connor, because the main takeaway I had from watching Zack Snyder's Justice League is that this is fine, it's pretty good. It's functional. The story makes sense. It like everything kind of works.
but
It's not like
it's-
stupid.
there's like a
you know?
weird contrast to it though, because it's so silly, the story, but they're taking it so seriously. that
Right,
It's
Wait,
almost
yeah.
funny.
what's silly about the mother boxes?
Yeah, it's
They're calling them cubes and stuff, like the boxes or whatever. Like it's really silly.
right,
It's
but
so
it
goofy.
and it is. But I like that they take it deadly seriously, because it's like it's. I would much prefer that to like the Joss Whedonisms.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh
well,
no,
that
I
happened.
100%
Like
agree.
that kind
But
of crap.
I
But,
agree, but
yeah.
like that's what I mean. It seems very much like those shows that we were watching as
Right,
kids,
yeah, like,
where
I
they were
feel-
taking it seriously. Like there was no not taking it seriously, but it's for kids.
Yeah, like
know?
that's the. I agree. I mean, it's basically like it's it's perfectly good entertainment for anybody who's into this sort of thing. That's not me.
Right.
But I think like the fans should be very happy with this because it's
Oh yeah.
it's a perfectly acceptable movie. I didn't feel like it dragged either. Like 4 hours long, it really didn't feel that bad until probably like the last hour.
It moved a
Where
lot better than I ever thought it would.
yeah, like it's just like I don't have much personal interest in these characters or the stuff that's happening or anything, but like overall I think it's fine for people that are into this sort of thing. Like I hesitate to put too much praise on it because it's definitely not something that I I ever intend to revisit in my life. I want to move on and never think about it again. But I definitely think like if you like Marvel movies, for example, this is just as good as any of the best Marvel movies, I would think. Right? Like it honestly kind of felt like that to me because it moves in a similarly like well constructed way as those movies do, if that makes sense. Where it's like
Mhm.
it doesn't just feel like dumb and like things don't make sense, which is what everybody used to complain about with like Batman
You
v
see, when
Superman.
I'll tell you though, I think I kind of like this more than like the Marvel movies that I remember, and I haven't seen one in a
Hmm.
while. But because those are like too goofy, kind of.
Yeah,
I think he almost had like the right kind of tone for this, for what it
no, I
needed to be.
agree.
Like because there are more jokes in this than I was ever expecting. Like in the his original vision and cut, like
Hmm.
there are some scenes that are funny. I actually something I'm shocked by is I actually liked the actor who played the Flash. I thought there were some scenes that actually kind of made me laugh a little bit,
Hmm.
which I was surprised by. Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think it worked, and I like it. I like when things take themselves seriously. Where I remember the last Marvel movie I remember watching was Thor Ragnarok. There was like a like I don't know some it was free whenever I saw it in the theater, and people loved it because it was so funny and joke, and I hated it. It was like all the things that Marvel movies already are bad about that I hate, and then this one was like the worst movie ever for me, and that's when I would just knew that I could never go back.
Hmm.
But
That's just because you hate Taika Waititi.
This was
that
before
is
he.
true.
I think this was before that our
This
feud
is
with him.
Yeah, it probably was.
this is before the Taika feud, but yeah, that's just not for me. That style is just not for me
Yeah,
at
I
all.
can't stand like the winking, like silliness of things. But even that, like, it just feels like ultimately this comes down to the fact that I'm just sick of the the brand management films, the corporate cinema. Like whether it's super grim, dark, or super jokey, it's like whatever. The only thing that like you can tell that the Snyder Cut has a pulse behind it. It's this
Hmm.
Zack Snyder is the artist that made it, right? And
Right.
that comes through, which by default makes this feel less miserable, just purely philosophically speaking, you know. But that's why I can't say in good faith that like this is for me because like I just don't want anything to do with the superhero culture that we have right now. I just think that if you're into this sort of thing, like this is perfectly good, and I would certainly recommend it to you. But
Yeah, I
you
still
know,
don't think it's like a good movie though, or even like it's still not a contained story. Like I think this works better as like this kind of felt like a first season of a Justice League show to me. Like every single bit
yeah.
of it, like it was split into parts already, and I guess they already were contemplating doing it as like a series.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
Yeah.
even like and we can get into this if you guys want, the epilogue ending felt like a preview for the next season.
Yeah. So those the I kind of want to talk about this because this is really interesting too. Just thinking about the movie in terms of like, so where do we go from here, right? Like, so the reason that the Snyder Cut exists is that you know Zack Snyder wanted to finish it. A bunch of fans were clamoring for it on the internet. HBO Max gives them a platform for it. They make it, whatever. But now the fans are like emboldened by this, and they're like, okay, now that you gave us the Snyder Cut, restore the rest of the Snyderverse. Continue making movies with the Snyderverse in mind. Release the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. All of this insane stuff, right? But both Zack Snyder and like the Warner Brothers people have been very clear that this is it. There's no like he finished Justice League, but they're not doing anything more with this Zack Snyder cinematic universe. That he got to finish Justice League. Okay, you got what you wanted. We're done. But of course, the fans are not, super happy about this. So actually, like Warner Media's like CEO Ann Sarnoff was like in an interview, she was like, they asked her about like the fans and like now what are you going to do after this? And she said, we're always going to listen to our fans, but we are in the service of the broadest fan base, and we owe them an integrated, holistic strategy. Those words just made me like throw up in my mouth. But and then she even said, so she said, we have weekly meetings with our key execs in every division, and I just my eyes glazed in the back of my head. It's like, oh my god, these business people. But the point being, like, the Snyder Cut sets up a lot of things for future Snyderverse
Yeah.
films, presumably because that was what the original Snyder Cut was intended to do. Right? So he finished the Snyder Cut in the way he originally intended to finish it, even though that includes a bunch of setups for things that are never going to happen. So there's a bunch of junk in this movie that's like, you're never gonna get a payoff for it. Mostly at the very end when they do this whole epilogue thing, like all the stuff they filmed for this, like they filmed in 2020 to add on, is all stuff that's never gonna pay off in any way whatsoever. So I think that's kind of fascinating.
It's bizarre, really. Like,
yeah,
I thought the additional scenes were to add to the film or to maybe give it like some kind of conclusion for those reasons, but it doesn't actually end at all. Even the original version doesn't end. The version ends where the main villain is saying, "Oh, I'm going to be back with another strategy or another plan," and
which he won't.
And that's it. He actually won't come back. And then the movie also ends where Batman's picking out like the new house for him and the Justice friends, where it's like, oh, this is going to be a good one. We can fit a big table over here, which
yeah,
and that's how the whole thing ends.
Yeah, so it'll and I think that's the other thing that annoys me about this is where it's like every other stupid superhero movie. Even this, which will never have a sequel, it's still structured like an advertisement for the next one.
They can't help themselves.
Is that so endemic to like the making of these movies that even when one is not intended to have a sequel, it's like
they need to have people pre-ordering like tickets for the next film.
It's like so weird. They need to have people pre-ordering tickets for the next film that's never going to exist.
Yeah, which makes it a lot weirder in this case.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I were Zack Snyder and it was clear that there was never going to be anything more with this cinematic universe, I probably would have tried to wrap things up as much as possible here. Maybe it's not possible because, like, like you said, like the villain, spoilers, whatever. I'll get you next time, Justice Friends. I like that you call them Justice Friends. Dexter's Lab, nice. But even so, like maybe they could have done something with this that made it feel a little bit more conclusive. But I don't know. Like it's just weird because now the fans are never going to shut up. They're going to keep demanding that we get more of this Snyder stuff.
Maybe that's what Snyder wanted. Maybe that's why he included 3 cliffhangers.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's
Martian Manhunter cliffhangers. Oh God. Yeah, there's some dumb stuff in this. Yeah, like let's not pretend there's not some dumb stuff. The Martian Manhunter in this is so dumb.
Every scene he's in is just weird.
The Joker
especially
scene
the
is
first
awful.
Scene.
Yeah. Oh man, that first Martian Manhunter.
That I don't know about you guys, but that Joker scene at the end was like laughably stupid.
Oh, I couldn't. I was like
the fact that people saw that and were like, "That's it. That's what we've been waiting for." Is like,
really?
Okay.
It's like
that whole sequence was ridiculous. Like
Joker makes a reach around joke and everybody goes like nuts. It's like, come on, we're better than this, aren't we?
Batman makes a "I'm going to enjoy killing you" joke. Or that wasn't even a joke. That was just like "I'm going to," and people are like, "Yes, this is the interaction with the Joker we've been waiting for."
Yeah,
I think I sent you guys like a link to an article on Twitter that said that like this is the top Joker Batman interaction ever.
Yeah, no.
Like, but also, who like would write that?
Yeah,
like what is that?
I don't know, man. I mean, like in terms of like, if we're gonna talk about our favorite scenes, my favorite scene is definitely the when Wonder Woman stops the guys who want to send us back to the Dark Ages. I don't know
The
why
stupidest line of the whole movie.
I don't know why this is so funny to me. I realized today that that's like the plot of that Johnny Depp movie Transcendence. Right.
Oh, that's right.
There's a group of people that want us to just like destroy all technology and send us back to the dark ages. But this is like a weird scene. It looks like a bank robbery scene, and they're gonna blow up some nondescript building that happens to have a school field trip taking place in the middle of it. I don't know. We don't know what this building is. At least I didn't see it. But apparently,
And then Wonder Woman blows up half the building.
Destroying it will send us back to the dark ages. I guess I don't know. That was fun. I like the Lord of the Rings flashback. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The Snyder Cut, everybody. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
It's finally here.
I gotta just say that like Gal Gadot is just like not a good actress. Like
She's really not.
She really looks the part, but like in your Lord of the Rings flashback scene, like the voiceover was just like her just talking about what happened is just not.
It's not quite the same as like Kate Blanchett in
no,
as Galadriel or whatever. That had a little bit more of a regal tone to it. It felt like you were experiencing real ancient history from somebody who I don't know. It's just that worked a lot better in the Lord of the Rings, the actual Lord of the Rings.
I'll tell you though, I really think that this whole thing would have worked better as like a series. Like I kind of liked what they were doing with the parts and the chapters of explaining the backstory of certain characters, like in just the chunks. If you just had like, I kind of liked the backstory with Cyborg and everything, and like I think the shots were really cool, like him playing football as a kid and everything like that, and
it's pretty good. A little bit too much slow mo, but whatever.
That's always what you're gonna. That's always what you're gonna get with Zack Snyder. There's way too. All right, so if we're going on those kind of things, there's way too much of this of the slow mo startup stuff. Like it's Zack Snyder's style. That's also something that not only the content, it's the style that I just can't like get to like enjoying.
Yeah,
like it's the slow mo startup stuff, but it's also. Were you guys like amazed by how awkward the music was at a lot of points? Like,
it's funny you bring that up because we definitely noticed that.
Yes, we did.
It's for some reason like Wonder Woman has this like motif of like this weird like ancient choir thing going on. It's like like I'm not gonna fault somebody for making like a weird choice with the music because I'm always into that, but like it's kind of distracting here just because it's so strange and so like. Well,
the thing was like every time she was on screen, they'd bring it up.
Right.
So it'll be like she's doing something. You hear the song. Cut to Batman for 2 seconds. Cut back to her, and it's still going.
Yeah.
It's like, it was really bizarre.
Yeah, it's a little bit in your face. Actually, it's kind of an interesting story with the music of this movie. So the original score for Justice League before Joss Whedon took over was by that guy Junkie XL, right? Who's like one of the bigger like Hollywood composers these days. I think he did like Mad Max Fury Road, and he does like everything, honestly. But then when Joss Whedon came on board, they scrapped his music and hired Danny Elfman to do the score. And like Danny Elfman threw in some of the old like John Williams themes, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, the other part, yeah. So and he did it like on a time crunch where he was like, what am I going to do with this? Like,
yeah, he had like a really, really like short amount of time to turn it over. But I think generally people thought his score was pretty okay. I mean, it's Danny Elfman. Like he's not going to, I mean, he's probably phoned in so many scores of his time. I shouldn't say he's not going to phone it in, but he's a good composer. But then this version of Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, got Junkie XL back, but he didn't use any of the music that he wrote for the original one, apparently. Apparently he rescored the entire thing. So that I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. This movie is going through multiple different scores. But it's definitely like I don't know. It stands out. Like some of the music is very strange. Just feels weird. Like the Flash scene, like his introduction scene, has like this kind of like very like I don't know, emotional like music while he's doing his stuff and saving the girl in the car crash, and it's just like like it's this maybe I could get into this, but it's also kind of weird. I don't know. It's just strange. I
remember
don't know. I
there
could
was a
see some
song.
people liking it. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a song that was playing some really interesting like choice to like have when Jason Momoa Aquaman is going back into like the ocean when
Yeah,
like waves
the
are like
the
hitting
the
him and
Eastern
stuff.
European starts singing to him or whatever, or
Yeah,
like they sing as he descends to the ocean.
yeah. I really didn't
Yeah, that
understand
was weird.
that one. It just there's just like I'm okay. I'm cool with like music being different also, but some of them just were like, why? Like it just kind of it made you wonder. But I don't know.
Yeah, like you don't like to have question marks in your brain when you hear music in a movie, but at the same time, it's like that. I guess I prefer that to like the Marvel strategy of you know the either music you don't notice at all or like big brassy horns. That's pretty much the style of the, or putting in pop songs like the James Gunn approach. Those are the three ways that movie scores are done these days, and that's really tiring. I prefer a weird thing to that, but I mean, you're definitely like watching this movie and just like, oh, well, okay,
I
dude.
do like that. I like that everybody had something to do in this movie. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah, I
like it
agree.
didn't feel like there was any wasted time with the main cast at least. Not I'm not talking about like Martian Manhunter who's in it,
Yeah.
or like some or the stuff in the epilogue which I'm I don't understand at all. I
I
didn't.
feel
I
like
was
if you cut everything that has nothing to do with the story at hand, right? Like you cut the Martian Manhunter, just we don't need this guy in here.
No, you can't do that.
Just leave him on the floor. And you cut the epilogue. Just don't even film anything new. Leave Jared Leto like out of just please let him stay home. Um,
he didn't. No, he didn't actually. He
um,
actually was on set when he filmed
yeah.
these scenes.
And like you remove all that stuff and remove like the one little thing in the movie itself that like points to what might come later. But there's like some weird thing where like Batman's like Lois Lane is the key to all this. I had a
Oh
vision.
yeah.
It's like what? Okay. Um like remove that, just get that out of there. And then like the only thing that's weird is the fact that the villain says I'll get you next time. But you know what? That's okay. That's like a standard thing in these kinds of like serialized type riffs, right? Like you could end the movie that way and feel like there wasn't anything left hanging.
They
Right.
they put too much lore in this.
Yeah, just let it go. Just tell the story that you're telling. And like it does that pretty well, right? Like it does a pretty good job. All the
Yeah,
characters get
for the most part.
enough time, it makes sense. Yeah, but yeah.
But when you are right, Kyle. Though when you leave so much lore like that just unanswered and just in there, you're just asking for the fans to just
Yeah.
keep
I,
this
I
going
think
forever.
I think it's fan bait.
Yeah, I think it might have been deliberate bait. You might be right because I
it
mean,
could have been
clearly
bait.
Snyder is passionate about this whole like
Oh, yeah.
Snyderverse thing. He wants to continue, going about this and making this whole Snyder thing happen. But
Has he said anything about the like future? Does he have this all planned out? Like, does he have an idea of what he wants to do with all of them?
well, like he might have an idea in his head about what he would want to do, but
Oh,
like
I'm just wondering if he said publicly, like he had
I don't
this
think
all
so.
like no, okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, my understanding is that he has been very clear with the fans that this is it. Like he has said like the Whedon cut is quote unquote canon, right, to the DC extended universe or whatever. So like
Are they still doing that? So what is like the new Batman movie that's in development?
well
I
told you
don't know.
Connor. Warner Media's CEO said we're always going to listen to our fans. We are in the service of the broadest fan base, and we owe them an integrated, holistic strategy. She said we want different voices in the mix. For certain fans that want singular voices, they may be disappointed. Which is basically saying she wants to make like a wide variety of DC content in various forms. TV shows, movies, video games, like the works. With different people making different things. So the whole idea of the DC extended universe, I think that's in the garbage now.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh well, start overtime.
Yeah. Why not? That's all the people want. People don't care about anything new. Now Robert Pattinson's Batman. Is he the same Batman? No. Maybe, who cares? He's Batman. You just want more
He's
Batman.
he's back.
There's gonna be a stupid like nerd war going on for the next few years between like the two sides of DC fandom.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be drawing lines in the sand.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be the Pattinson Batman people. There's going to be the Ben Affleck Batman people, and then you're going to have like the purist Christian Bale Batman people. You're going to have the weirdo Michael Keaton Batman people. You might have like one or two Val Kilmer dudes in there. You know, but and then they're going to fight wars over this. Who's the best Batman? And we'll all be made stupider because of it.
Do you know the most fascinating part about all this superhero stuff is the way it's infiltrated just like everyone. How there's your average consumer, just like I was talking to people like over the weekend who were like, yeah, I usually watch all the Marvel movies, and when I don't understand something or something like that or don't get it, I just ask my friend who's like really knowledgeable about this stuff and knows it, and I'm like, why? Like, when I was growing up, like the girls like in my classes didn't watch the Justice League, and I weren't asking like us like what these characters were and everything like that, because it's essentially the same thing, like the animated versions. Like, I don't know how this infiltrated everything. That everybody wants to see this stuff.
My like not particularly well thought out theory, but like I'm workshopping it, is that the reason that we're here is because the currency of the internet is like nerd and gaming culture, and it always has been. It's just now that the internet is more mainstream, that has sort of completely changed how mainstream culture functions, because everybody's on the internet all the time, and the things that, for some reason, this has always been true, the things on the internet that get the most attention are things related to nerd culture and gaming culture. It has literally always been that way for as long as I can remember being on the internet. It's just that back in like the 2000s and like even the early 2010s, the internet was still like not super mainstream in the way it is now. Like social media was still kind of just taking off, but now everybody's online. But
Yeah.
that stuff that hasn't changed. Like that's still the stuff that gets shared the most, that gets like injected into people's consciousness the most. So now it's just because everybody's on the internet all the time, it's like they assume like this is our culture. Our culture is superheroes and nerd culture, all this stuff. Like this is like, people don't watch Marvel movies now because they like, some people do, but I feel like most people watch it because it's just like the cultural thing to do. It's like, but everybody's watching it, so I want to watch it so that I can talk about it with my friends who probably also watch it because everybody's doing it. It's just mainstream entertainment, but like not in any like passionate way. Like people, like there are passionate Marvel fans, but I think it's mostly just like, like it's the thing of the day. It's just so weird to me that's like it's lasted this long, and it doesn't feel like it's ever going to end.
Yeah, I mean, I knew there was a problem when I was listening to part of a NPR podcast where they were talking about how, like, it was something about how this smaller studio or person is looking to find an old superhero comic to turn it into something that could be big nowadays and get the rights to it. And I'm like, why? What is this? And then they're talking about how superheroes are like the modern day like Roman warrior Greek mythology. And I'm like, how did this happen? What is this? This stuff was made to sell ads to kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's what is this? How is this? Like, how did we get here?
It does feel like it just kind of like, we blinked, some years went by, and then suddenly it's like, where are we? What is going on? But like now we're at the point where like we begrudgingly feel it's necessary to semi praise the Zack Snyder's Justice League because it feels like there was a person behind its creation,
And
but like
I do agree with that.
Right, but like it's still like,
it's still not good though.
It feels like a Marvel movie to me, man. It's not significantly different in any substantial way from a Marvel movie. It's just more violent, and Batman says the F word at one point, and so does Cyborg. It's just like that. That's the difference. So I don't know. You're right though. It is interesting how we got here, and the whole thing, like everybody now who's like, see, Zack Snyder's proven Martin Scorsese wrong. It's like, no, No, he's not. No, he's not. He's Zack Snyder is an artist, but you know, if he's still making Batman movies, like come on. I don't know. Maybe someday we'll get away from this intellectual property, world that we're living in. But I'm not holding my breath. I feel like this is just kind of the.
We definitely are not.
Yeah, right. It just feels hopeless, right, Kyle? Like we spend a lot of time on Twitter. We spend a lot of time on the internet.
This is just our life now.
Right.
Like there's no changing it.
Yeah.
People are in too deep. This is it.
Yeah.
Now go watch the Snyder Cut.
Are we old men yelling at the cloud now? Is that what we are? No, we're not.
No, that's a Martin Scorsese.
Okay, then what are we when I'm still like, I revere Martin Scorsese. So what am I? If he's the one yelling at the cloud, then what am I?
I think we're just people, who care about movies. And, like if that's an old man yelling at cloud, then, what can I do? I don't know. I just wish that people would be a little bit more critical of the system that produces these movies. Not the movies themselves, right? But like the fact that Disney owns like 100% of the entertainment world right now is very clearly not good for art. And so like to me that's like the main thing, And I feel like people are way too uncritical of that whole thing. And like Warner trying to be like Disney is not really that much better, even though they're letting an artist do it, right? It still feels like it's compromised by this world of content and insistence on intellectual property and insistence on having integrated holistic strategies for reaching the broadest possible fan base.
Yeah, it's
like they're not even like that's what she said in the interview. They're not even hiding it. That's all they're interested in.
That's it.
So I don't know. There was a time when that's not what the movie industry was entirely about. There was always a business and art together, but it didn't used to feel this dismal, But hey, the Snyder Cut's pretty good. Like it's if you watch the Snyder Cut and you like Marvel movies, you like superheroes, you like to see our friends together at last. We got the whole gang here. We got Cyborg, we got Batman, we got Superman. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Spoilers.
Oh boy.
We got Wonder Woman and the Flash. All of our friends. But can they work together to defeat the evil Steppenwolf?
No.
No. I mean, I'm a little disappointed that Green Arrow. No, Green Arrow. Gosh, I always do that. It's not Green Arrow. Green Lantern. Although Green Arrow might be.
There is a Green Arrow also.
There is a Green Arrow. Green
but
Arrow
he's
was
unrelated to Green Lantern.
That's true.
They're not similar. Green Lantern did show up in this movie, though.
There was a Green Lantern for a little bit in the Lord of the Rings scene.
In the Lord of the Rings scene, there was a Green Lantern.
He got, by the way.
Oh my God, that guy got wrecked.
Yeah, he got destroyed.
Oh man, Darkseid did not play around with that guy. That was wild.
The thing that is like a Lord of the Rings scene where you have like the Sauron character who's just wrecking shop, and you're just never gonna get a payoff for that ever.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know what to tell you. That was obviously Lord of the Rings. If you're really into like scenes in movies where like guys get violently thrown against walls with like big blood splatter like going on the wall, you'll really love the Snyder Cut. And I appreciate that our heroes do kill some people. They're bad guys, but there are definitely some deaths in this movie. Wonder Woman has blood on her hands, but that's a good thing. I think that makes it more fun. I don't know. Maybe you're into that. Maybe you're one of those people. It's like the heroes need to be heroes, but Zack Snyder just wants the heroes to be cool.
Yep.
He just wants them to be like gods. They're gods among men. They can do what they want. Sure. That's Zack Snyder's world, and we're all just living in it.
Gosh, I really hope that this goes away at some point, and we don't get Snyder Cut universe back.
So see you next week, everyone. We'll talk about the recap of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Or WandaVision. I heard WandaVision does a great job of setting up the next.
When are we going to do the
thing.
WandaVision episode?
It's WandaVision is actually about coping with grief.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that.
But I'm happy if you like this stuff. That's good for you, man. Like, you're living in the happiest time of your life. Who are we to say that's a problem. Any other final thoughts on the Snyder Cut before we wrap this up? We're coming in close to an hour here. I think that's pretty good for an extended length Lopes on Movies episode. Like, anything else at all that you guys want to stress about our boy?
I like the Willem Dafoe scenes. They felt very out of place.
Yeah, I forgot about those. I just kept thinking about. All I could think about was Spider-Man. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like specific lines, but no matter how much you do for them, eventually they will hate you.
We can rule this sea, Aquaman.
Together. I didn't see the Aquaman movie. I'm sure I would have thought the same thing if I actually saw that one. Connor, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh gosh, no, I don't think so. Not for me, but I think your kids will like it.
Yeah, just make sure, like, parental advisory warning. There are 2 F-bombs. And there is some blood, there is some violence. So
there is talk of a reach around.
There is talk of a
Basically,
just turn the movie off when it says epilogue.
Don't watch the epilogue. Like, don't watch all of the scenes that he shot for this, like the Snyder Cut, or like at the end.
Yeah, sure. But listen, Zack Snyder, if you're listening to this, if you want to hang out sometime,
yes, yeah, that's true.
Feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to have you on the show.
But don't reach around. Reach out, but don't reach around.
Enough. I'm sick of thinking of this stupid Jared Leto scene. It seems so bad.
It left an impression, Joey.
The thing that's the worst, though, is that he never said, we live in a society, which we were promised in the trailer, and we never got
promised. You're right.
We never got
promised.
It. And also, where was Joker Jesus?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
There was promotional images of the Joker as Jesus, but he was not in. There was no Jesus Joker in the final cut.
Did Jared Leto just take those pictures?
He probably did. You know what? That's almost 100% definitely exactly what happened.
I don't know. I can't anymore with this one.
Yeah, it's what can you do? A Snyder Cut, everybody. What a great thing.
So now we need to release what are the other cuts we're asking to be released?
We need the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Ayer cut, and then I brought up we need the David Lynch cut of Dune to come out. Release the David Lynch cut. Of
that one's only like 50 years late.
Yeah, but I think that would make it fun though. Because it's so old.
We need the Trank cut of Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Please release the Trank cut. Josh Trank, if you're listening to this, we'd love to have you on the show to talk about Capone and the Capone Mansion. I actually think Josh Trank might actually be kind of a cool guy also. This is like
oh, stop! You don't mean that.
I do. I'm not even kidding.
I kind of like this bit though of just like these guys that make like astoundingly mediocre art, but we love them because they're just good dudes.
Yeah, and they're making what they want at least, and like they're very passionate about making what they want, and they won't accept no like studio interference as much as they can.
That's true.
I like that.
You gotta love them. They're doing what we all wish more people would do. They're not bending the knee. They're not kissing the ring of Kevin Feige. They're saying no. I'm making my movie, and then maybe someday we'll see the Trank cut. This is a brave new world. Like the Snyder Cut fanboys actually successfully got what they wanted. This is going to embolden fan bases across the world to start demanding things of all of the big studios. And
Yeah, I mean,
and,
it's not totally unprecedented. Like, this is not even the first one. Like, remember the Sonic the Hedgehog like hate from the trailer, and then that turned into
how could I forget?
redoing it. Like, there's a little bit of a precedent here now, and I don't know what kind. I think a lot of people at least are talking about the Snyder Cut. I don't know how it's doing in terms of people actually watching it. And I don't know if there are any kinds of like ratings that come out from HBO Max, but who knows what could happen.
Just imagine though, like if they do decide to restore the Snyderverse, then like we're gonna have to watch all of those because we are Lopes on Snyder Cut.
We are. I mean, we're big Zack Snyder people, even though every review is gonna be the same. Like, I really just don't like the slow-mo speed up stuff.
Yeah, it's not
music.
for me. It's good for if you're into this sort of thing. All right, guys. I think that's enough. We have exhausted the Snyder Cut. I never want to talk about this ever again. We're done. This was our Snyder Cut episode. I hope you got something out of this. Or just something out of the Snyder Cut. It's just have a good day. I got nothing, guys.
I'm glad you went from happy Joey to sad Joey by the end of this.
Full circle.